Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be diving into Natas, a wargame from OverTheWire, which is designed to sharpen your web security skills. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's jump in and start hacking our way through Natas. The level I'm going to do will be level 27. As you know, we are coming close to the end of this series. And, now it's getting more and more interesting. So we can copy this address to begin with. We can head over to Linux, paste into address bar of the browser, and we are required to provide the username and password. Username is Natas27, and we can get its password from notebook. We can copy and paste into password field, sign in. Not now. So here we are required to submit username and password, for example, like Natas28 and anything, login. So password for wrong password for the user. So if we submit other username like admin and click login again, so user admin was created. So, if the username doesn't exist at this moment, and this application will create this user for us. So a bit weird, right? And because this level is also providing us its source code, so without any hesitation, we can right click and open link in new tab. And we need to take a look at the PHP code. We need to know how this application is behaving. So PHP, so here one comment, very important information, although this is commented out. So here create users table, and this users table has two columns or two fields. One is username, and the type is valuable char character, and this is that has a maximum of 64 in length, and also it's the same for the password. Next, here define the function check credentials, and next function is to check whether the user is valid or not. Next, we'll dump data. Next, define the function to create a user. Just now, I think we have already created the user admin. All functions are not executed until they are called somewhere. So now we can turn our eyes on this part, because this is the beginning of code to be executed. Okay, so here we'll need to check whether the request array contains the key name is username, and also request contains the key password, and then we'll connect to the database with credentials of a current user, and then we'll select a database. This is built-in function of PHP, and we'll select the database of Natas27. Next, we'll check to see whether the return value of this function valid user, and this function needed to have two arguments. The first one is a link or database collection, and another is username. And so now we can check or need to have a look at this function valid user, and we will give two arguments, or this function has two parameters. The user, this will call another built-in function, real escape string. So we cannot do SQL injection easily as before because of this function. Some kinds of special characters would be escaped by this function. So in other words, the SQL injection statement cannot take effect. And then we'll, execute query, and the returned value will be set to this variable result. If the result is not empty, and then we'll check to see how many rows of the result. If larger than 0, and then return true. So here, if the username exists currently, and then we'll return true, and then we'll execute the following code. Okay. Next, we'll have another check or if statement. So check credentials. This time we need to give 3 arguments besides the link to the database, and also we need to provide the username and also password. So now we can check this function, check credentials. So this time again we'll call the same function, real escape. Again, we cannot conduct SQL injection easily. And the password, so this would be done separately, and then we'll conduct the query. So because the special characters would be escaped or be sanitized to some extent, and then we'll conduct this select query. If the results exists, or the number of the rows of results is greater than 0, and then we'll return true, otherwise false. So I think to get the password for the next level, we need to have this returned value to be true, because if this if statement is true, and then we'll call this function dump data. We can dump data from the database. Yeah, this one. Again, the username. So we'll select the users. So all data which has or which matches this user will be dumped from the database. Okay. So I think the only possible way to get the password for the next level is to dump data from the database. And even we need to have another user, and the username should be the same as Natas 28, because we want to retrieve the password for the next level, Natas 28. But the question is how to do it. Okay, so here, and otherwise we'll create a user. So this is the reason why we have seen the message of our user has been created. So how to do? Next, I'm not sure whether I have already installed Docker. So maybe Docker, but not stored yet. To save time of this video, I like to install Docker first, and I will come back because I want to use Docker to show you how to manipulate the database, or how to create the user, and this user should be the same as the existing user on Natas 28. Let me I show you in action, and then you can know what I mean exactly. But anyway, I'd like to install Docker first, because and I will pull down the image of my circle, and then we will connect to this Docker, the my circle container. Okay, I want to show you the real example, not just talking. Okay, so I will come back later. All right, I'm back. As you can see, I've already put down the image of my circle. So now we can Docker run name. We can call it test my circle, and also we can specify the option my circle root password to be 1 2 3 4 5, and I want to be running as a daemon process, and my circle run it, and now we can get its shell docker run it and ID of the container, and then bin bash. Okay. Oh, we can sudo docker run it 8 bin bash. I don't think it's correct. Let me get its help. So the Docker image, my circle, no problem. I haven't used Docker for a bit of while, to be honest. But this time I'm going to use Docker to give the demo. So the IT, my circle, oh, sorry, execute. I'm wrong. So now we can sudo docker, not run, execute it and a8 bin bash. Okay, so now we can connect to the database with password 1 2 3 4 5, what we have already specified earlier. Now we can create the database like test1, and we can use this database, and I'd like to create a table. Table name is users, and we can have 2 columns. So the username and the type is varchar. For simplicity, I set its length to 4, and password and varchar. Okay, now we can insert into users username, password, values like U1, P1, and so now, of course, if you search or dump the data from this table from users, there is only one tree. So how about insert another entries, users, username, password, but this time I put some space. For example, 1 2 3 4 5 space and P2. Now, we can select or dump this table again from users. As you can see now, there are 2 entries or 2 rows. So it looks like they look like the same. However, they are different. If we insert, we can select. We can use select username and its length. A method, a function, a username from users. As you can see, the length for these two rows are different, although the username looks like the same. So I think later we can utilize these to create the user, and this user, because as you can see, this user has length limitation 64. Although you can notice there is one function trim, but this trim function only truncate the space in front of the word and after the word, will not truncate space between characters. So I think, for example, if I'd like to exit from this container, for example, we can create this username Natas 28, and we need to, because the length is 64, and this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and the length should be 64. So we can put we can use one space and multiply to 57, and then we must to have any character in the end. Otherwise, the trim function, we truncate all space. This is not what we want. I just for this method to work, I mean here, if without a in the end and this username, for example, if this part would be, because the space, all space would be removed, so this would be the same, and then we can get error, go away hacker. This is not what we want. See, we want put something behind this space. So now let's press enter. And now how to do next? We can go back and we can turn on the proxy and launch BurpSuite. Okay. Next, start BurpSuite. Proxy, turn on the proxy, and now we can, we can put Natas 28, and password is 1, login, and then we can send to repeater or module. Here we want to, as you know, we want to not a space, because the space should be encoded. So I'd rather to use plus, and now we can copy from here and then replace this one. So now we can see what will happen if we send the request to the application. As you can see over here, the user Natas 28 has been, was created, right? So next we can remove, because the 28, the password is 1, we said earlier, and this time we can use, because right now in the database, or particularly in this table, user table, there will be two entries. And one is the real real user Natas28, and another is Natas28 followed by many spaces. So now I'd like to copy all of these, and the password is 1, because as you can see over here, the dump data will dump all data from this user, and this time will ignore all spaces. Okay, so now we can go back forward to this request to see what we can get. As you can see, we successfully get the password for the next level. Fantastic, right? I think if you want, we can utilize the Python to automate the entire process. But it's not difficult. I think I have already explained the key points in detail to get the flag. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you in the next one. Bye. Have a nice day, please.